Alrighty, so we're back in another one. Sorry, just setting up my screen. I think I did it right. Anyway, this one is been on my mind. I think it's been on everyone's mind. What if all the world's ice melted? I think it would suck ass, honestly. We could do something to stop this.
Ice caps on both poles of the planet are melting. And not just a few, all of them. If all this ice melted, it would be catastrophic. How much would the sea levels rise? How would this impact global temperatures? And what would this mean for life on Earth? This is What If? And here's what would happen if all the world's ice melted. Sea levels are rising around the globe at around 4.8 millimeters every year. Glaciers and ice sheets are melting due to global warming. And climate scientists estimate that the average temperature on Earth could increase from the current 14 degrees Celsius to 27 degrees Celsius.
See, like, I don't really quite understand, but that kind of seems a bit hot.
At this pace, you would witness devastating floods on coastal lands. And parts of the world would be entirely lost to the sea. But if all the world's ice melted away, things would go south fast. Hey, since we're talking about ice, let's start with a cold, hard fact. If all the world's glaciers and ice sheets melted, sea levels would rise an astonishing 65 meters. All over the world, countries with an...
Whoa, if that's true, I'm gonna be underwater because I'm right on like a beachfront, and it's like, damn. Stockton is gonna be underwater then.
elevation below this level would cease to exist. Farewell to the Maldives, Singapore, and Denmark. Sorry you never got to visit them. The 37 million people living in those areas would have to evacuate and head for higher elevations.
Yeah, it looks like I'm gonna be looking at houses soon.
And fast. And a lot of the populated coastlines around the world would have to be evacuated too. In North America, the entire Atlantic seaboard would vanish. That means Disney World in Florida wouldn't be a small world.
No!
It would be an underwater world. On the west coast, the hills of San Francisco would become a cluster of islands, and the Golden Gate Bridge would stick out from the sea until it rusts away and disappears into the ocean. Millions of people in the United States would lose their home and move further inland. If you live in Denver, Colorado, your home city might be bustling.
Oh my god.
In South America, the Amazon and Paraguay River basins would become inlets for the Atlantic Ocean. And big urban centers like Buenos Aires or Montevideo would disappear. Europe would say goodbye to many of its cities. Venice would become a modern-day Atlantis. And London's Big Ben would now strike midnight from underwater. Large parts of Asia would be devastated by the swelling seas. Nearly 800 million people would lose their homes in China, India, and Bangladesh. Australia could become more hospitable as an inland sea develops, but it would be bad news for the 80% of Australians living on the coastal strip.
Yeah, bad news for me.
You'd be the lucky one if you lived in Africa, where large parts of land would be spared from global flooding. Unfortunately, the world would lose one of the ancient wonders, the Great Pyramid of Giza. It would be swamped by the Mediterranean. But flooding of the continents would only be the tip of the iceberg. The world would also lose 90% of its fresh water. Yeah, this is how much is stored in the Antarctic ice sheet. This ice water would mix with the ocean and dramatically disrupt its salt levels. Many aquatic animals that have evolved to live in salt water would go extinct. Diluted water would also impact the ocean currents. The Gulf Stream, which brings warm air to northern Europe, would become weak or even stop.
Right, like back to that point about what was it? Like I forget what I described the water as from the glaciers. The recent volcano eruption pushed salt water up a stream, so up a river stream, and it the freshwater fish there have now died because of the salt water that's now been put there, or vice versa, you know, because pushing upstream may also cause it to go back out, and you know, both ends of the fish copped it. So yeah, there was a stream in Australia that a lot of fish died, so that's pretty bad if there's going to be diluted water. So that's going to be a lot of food and a lot of fish lives that are going to pay for it. So yeah, I suggest if there's a car running and or a light that you need to turn off, go turn it off. Please don't make the fish die. Please don't make us die. I like this home. I like my new setup that I just did. I don't really want to be underwater. No one wants to be underwater. I don't want to mix with the water. Jeez, God. What do you think I am, a Pisces? God.
And this would make temperatures plummet in that region. And there's more bad news. The glacial freshwater stores some toxic chemicals like DDT, and the Arctic permafrost has as much mercury as everywhere else on the planet combined. As these toxic chemicals and elements ended up in rivers, lakes, and groundwater reserves, they would poison many people. The melting of the permafrost would also be a feast for microorganisms that feed on the organic matter frozen inside. These organisms will, pardon my French, fart out a lot of greenhouse gases that could cause a global temperature rise of 3.5 degrees Celsius.
So we're just gonna get hotter.
Listen, most of life on Earth would not survive this disaster, but I have good news for you. Scientists estimate that all of the Earth's ice wouldn't melt overnight. If climate change keeps going at the same rate, it will take 5,000 years. But if we begin to make serious changes to our climate policies, maybe we could avoid it altogether. We could, for example, start with refreezing the Arctic. But that's a story for another What If.
Alrighty. So, in conclusion, go turn that car off. Go turn that light off. Go and make sure that you put away some garbage. Go make sure that you do something that is environmentally friendly, because honestly, we don't want to end up like big fish bowl full of bugs that fart. And yeah, that's our home. This is our home. Like that's the end of it. Like, we're gonna take care of it, and if we don't take care of it, who else will? You know, we can't just trash this planet and move to another one and just expect it to be okay. We gotta make sure that we can run this planet before we go to another one. And that's all I gotta say to this. So otherwise, I'm gonna ramble on. So, alrighty, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. I will be doing another one because I enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it, please comment and like and subscribe. I need to start saying that to remind you guys. Support your small YouTubers. Alrighty. See ya.